That lawsuit says Vista Shadow Mountain took advantage of its tenants and went against their rights, all while forcing them to live in dirty and dangerous conditions. This has gotten a little bit violent. I'll just step out of the way and let you guys take a look at what we're seeing out here. There's an auto zone. You can probably even see there's tear gas still up there. You can see the smoke from that. If you guys joined us at 5, a lot has changed since then. Firefighters have been out here, like we've been saying, several hours now, and they have, if you want to take a look now, been able to pretty much contain this fire. It honestly looks like it could be an inch or 2 inches, and that's in just a couple of hours. The search wrapped up late this afternoon, but family hopes this lead is the one that finally takes them to the girls. ODOT says it's aware of problems here, but says there's a lot more to do before it can start construction. Police say Christopher Webb put that little girl in his truck and drove off. That whole time the little girl was kicking and screaming, and the girl's aunt was chasing after them screaming. As you're preparing to start your day, here's a look at some of the big stories impacting our community this morning. Stephen, let's say, hypothetically, I have plans today. What do I need to know? I need an umbrella. What do I need? Bill and Lisa WOOLLEY tell me they lost their jobs, their friends, all their money. But worst of all, they lost their other grandson, who is still in state custody, and they want him back. Little Elijah came into grandparents Bill and Lisa WOOLLEY's lives when he was just a few weeks old, when Elijah's mother was going through a tough time. The WOOLLEY's daughter, Glory, says her nephew Elijah was the sweetest baby.
He just had so much personality, even from such a young age.
Bill and Lisa say they loved Elijah deeply, and he meant everything to them. In 2018, Lisa found Elijah dead in his crib at 14 months old.
He was stone cold and he was rigid.
The WOOLLEYs say from the start, investigators believe the couple killed Elijah, going off a nurse interview and medical examiner's report.
Your whole life can be destroyed because of something somebody says.
Bill and Lisa were fired from their jobs. They spent time in jail and say they received death threats and lost more than $500,000 in legal fees. But the worst part for them was losing their other grandson, who was put into DHS custody at just 5 years old, after investigators accused the WOOLLEYs of also sexually assaulting him. He's still in foster care and turning 9 this year.
Basically kidnapped out of our family and for the last over 3 years.
In March, every single charge against the WOOLLEYs was dropped by the district attorney after top child death experts agreed there was no evidence of sexual abuse or murder. Glory says after living through this nightmare, she urges people to not judge those who are accused of crimes because everyone should be innocent before proven guilty.
Don't have blind trust in the system because it's a broken system.
Now, District Attorney Jack Thorpe told us they dismissed the case after the additional evidence from the child abuse expert. As for why Elijah died, the WOOLLEYs think it might be walking pneumonia or SIDS, but they still don't know for sure. Now they are focused on getting their grandson out of foster care and back with his family. Kristen Weaver, Oklahoma's Own, News on 6.
Kristen?
Craig and Lori, it was just incredible. Most of these veterans had never been to our nation's capital. So for them, seeing the war memorials with the names of people they served alongside was not only powerful, it was healing. The first things you notice about Army veteran Kenny Littlefield are his shiny shoes and his big smile.
We don't want to forget the people who died for us to have our freedoms that we do.
When you meet Air Force veteran Mike Emery, you'll always find a camera in hand and a snapshot of history he can share at every stop.
I am so happy that I'm here.
And it's impossible to tell who is prouder of the other, Army veteran Brent Judd or his son Skylar taking on this trip together.
To see it from the generations before him, I mean, it's just breathtaking. It really is.
It's definitely a trip of a lifetime.
These veterans are all ages. They're from different military branches and different wars. Each has a unique story of loss and sacrifice, but every single one of them tells me this trip has changed their life in some way. The 56 veterans, EMTs, and guests became friends during 4 days in Washington. The journey was a dream Wayne Perigo had after his father, Vietnam veteran Donald Perigo, died 10 days before he could take an honor flight to D.C. Perigo helped start a nonprofit based in Pryor to take Oklahoma veterans of all ages to historic cities.
It's time for us to get our younger guys here also.
The group worked hard for several months to raise $35,000 to send the veterans on a trip at no cost to them. As he watched the impact DC had on every person, Perigo hopes he fulfilled the promise he made to his father.
He would be happy. He would be proud.
Each memorial and monument brought personal connections.
The experiences are good and bad, are things you will never forget.
It's been emotional.
Chriselle Kaufman joined the Air Force when she was only 17 back in 1996 as a medic. 2 years later, a horrific helicopter crash killed 12 men instantly. Kaufman was there to collect any remains. 6 are buried here at Arlington National Cemetery.
Not all of it is good memories, but you know, I kind of lost myself in there, so I'm starting to figure myself out.
As other veterans searched for their fellow service members at the cemetery, there were emotions and embraces. The names on the Vietnam Wall reflect the pain of the past.
Wayne Mikulak is right here.
Willis PLUTE is a Navy veteran who served from 1966 to 1970 in the Vietnam War. He knows a lot of these names, and each one brings a different feeling.
It's very hard to wait too. Sorry. A lot of memories. A lot of bad times. But the price that some people pay for our freedom.
But this group isn't defined by the difficult past shared by its members.
It's been a blessing to be around everybody and experience this.
It don't matter what war you were in or what conflict you're in or anything else, you know what that other veteran went through and you know what they sacrificed.
As the 4-day adventure came to a close, a special surprise. Hundreds of letters from Oklahoma kids thanking them for their service.
These kids did a fantastic job.
Brought tears to my eyes knowing that a young man wrote me.
A trip of a lifetime for those who put their lives on the line.
They would do anything to help their fellow person next to them.
Now, Northeast Oklahoma Veterans Freedom Tours is planning another trip to D.C. in September of next year. We'll post a link to the group's website inside this story in our News on 6 app. Kristen Weaver, Oklahoma's own News on 6. Micah Ballou is a father of 4 and a husband to Renita. He was diagnosed with kidney disease after a bad reaction to some pneumonia treatments. Doctors told him he might have 5 or 10 years to live on dialysis. But all that could change if a living donor would give him a kidney.
A perfect match is it can add up to 10 extra years.
Jeanette Bowman saw our story that aired on Thanksgiving and felt called to go get tested. After that initial test, she was flown to New Orleans for more tests, and doctors told her she is a perfect match. The chances of that are 1 in 100,000. She called the family last month with the news, and today they got to meet face to face.
Hey, Jeanette.
It was so nice to finally meet you. What really tugged at my heart was that he had 4 kids. And I have 3 kids and a grandbaby. I can't imagine what these kids could go through not having you around.
Micah says this means milestones, like seeing his daughter walk down the aisle, his kids graduate school, and a life without constant exhaustion and fear.
Yeah, just having the opportunity to keep living.
Yeah, exactly.
It's overwhelming, it really is.
Micah's kids expressed their thanks to giving them more time with their dad. With this letter, they wrote to Jeanette.
We would first like to take this moment to thank you for granting us the most precious gift of all, time with our father.
The surgery is scheduled for next month in New Orleans. Jeanette says this was all meant to be and encourages everyone to go get tested and be the person that could change someone else's life.
I'm just very, very humbled at the fact that I was a match, that I was able to give him what he needs, to give him his life back.
Hard to put into words how you feel.
The family still needs help with medical expenses. For a link to that and for more information on kidney donation, check out this story inside our News on 6 app. In Wagner, Kristen Weaver, Oklahoma's own News on 6.